Welcome to the TPM meetup. My name is Zhanat. I will be your host for this first meetup of 2023. And as we wait for more people to join, we'll launch a poll just to take a pulse check on what you folks are actually looking for, because this event today is a little different from what we used to do with TPM meetups before. So we wanted this to be community driven, and we wanted to provide an opportunity for people like you to ask questions. So there is a poll in the progress. If you go to the bottom side of your Zoom app, you should see a poll. Please pick what you are interested in. And then we'll also share the Slido link where some questions are already queued up. So we'll use that to see the discussion. And at any point of time during this event, please feel free to go to the Slido and add more questions or upvote the questions that you like most. We are at 74 attendees at this point. Okay, so for those who just joined, please introduce yourself and please use the poll to share with us what are you looking for in this event. And let me get the slides for this event shared so that we can kick off the introductions. And as I mentioned before, we had more than 300 people signed up for this, and the first poll results are coming in. Interestingly, it's split almost evenly between the three options. So I think it will be very valuable discussions to have today. Let's kick this off. All right, so welcome one more time for those who found time to join us today for the TPM meetup. Today's session is a little different from what we used to do with the meetups in the past years. So this time around, the initiative is actually came from the TPM community and from the panelists themselves, who are willing to share their insights, their experience, and what they have learned in more than 20 years of experience that each of them bring to this panel with the TPM community. Given the past, I would say, year or so, the industry was shaken by the number of layoffs, different industry events, economical events. We thought it's a great opportunity to share the stage with the TPM community where you folks can answer questions, and we brought panelists to address those questions, and hopefully this will help in your career growth, in your job hunting, or overall give you a picture of the technical program management domain and the role. Today on the panel, we do have some new panelists and returning panelists from the TPM meetup. So I will start from the new panelist, Liana. So Liana is a principal TPM at Block. I will save the introductions to herself, but you can see that she brings 20 plus years of experience in the field. She's also a coach, a mentor, and an artist, a painter. So we'll welcome Liana on stage shortly. The rest of the panelists, if you've been attending TPM meetup, were all part of the previous events. And all of them actually raised their hands and said, hey, I want to come back. I want to participate in this event for Ask Me Anything session. So quick touch points. Harman, you probably all know Harman well. He's one of the lead organizers of TPM meetup, very active in the Slack TPM community. Mario, also probably in the TPM circles, do not need a lot of introductions. So he is very engaged in blogging, podcasting, in all types of TPM communities, whether it's Slack or Discord or the LinkedIn group. So we'll hear from Mario as well on his new role as a VP of TPM. And we have Aman, who also was a panelist in our last session last year. And I think Aman also had some changes in his career, so would love to hear about that. And a quick reminder for those who are joining us for the first time, we have these events organized purely on volunteer basis. Like all of the panelists, they dedicate their time, all the organizers, they dedicated their time outside of work, outside of family responsibilities, to make our community stronger, to share all the knowledge, all the insights. And we really, really, really appreciate all of you joining us today. Hopefully this will be very insightful conversation to have. We have Slido with the questions that people submitted ahead of time, but you are encouraged to add more questions as the discussion goes. And if you find good questions there, please don't hesitate to upvote those, and we'll take the top voted questions on the live event. And for remainder of the questions, we'll try to answer those in the Slack space that we run. With that, I think I want to invite all our panelists to the virtual stage. Please turn on your cameras. Hi, everyone. Well, we now have almost 90 people watching this live from all parts of the world. We saw people from Canada, people all across the US, from Bangalore joining. And thank you so much for all of you joining us today. I want to start with some brief introductions. I kind of highlighted it myself, but it's really, really important to hear it firsthand from you. And Liana, I want to start from you because you were the one who brought this idea of MAM, Ask Me Anything session type of event. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Zhanat, and thanks for opening up. Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. Yes, I'm a TPM coming from engineering background and have been in industry over 20 years. The smallest startup I've been was 13 people. The biggest companies I've been like a Meta, Blog, and different various size companies. I've been in finance, I've been in fintech, pure tech, so infra, and I felt that's going to be a good stage to connect, try to help the community, especially with the recent situation with the layoffs. And I noticed people are really contacting one-on-one. We have to try to help and give back in a wider, broader format that's scalable. And I'm happy that I found people who share the value and join, and we're here. And yeah, this is who I am, a mentor, coach, painter, artist, all yours today.
Painter artist, would be nice to hear from you at some point. How do you actually manage being a TPM and being a painter? I always find it hard to like combine all my hobbies into my work-life balance. Thank you, Liana, for joining. Maria, I want to go next to you. I'm pretty sure 99% of the attendees here recognize you, but still, I want to give you opportunity for introduction.
Thank you for that. This is Mario. I've been a TPM for the last 10 years plus. I also blog and podcast. And then I took a year off from my work at Oracle, and I recently joined as a VP of Technical Program Management at Sochi, which is a digital marketing SaaS platform.
Nice.
Yep.
Thank you. And welcome back. Welcome back to the TPM meetup.
And one more thing to add is I added the Slack link to join a Slack community. So I know a lot of people might have found out about this event through LinkedIn and other sources, but if you could join the Slack community, it's a very tight-knit community, which kind of is our center hub, and that's where all the action kind of happens. So feel free to join the Slack community and participate and help everyone else.
Awesome. And by the way, every panelist that we have on TPM meetup on this event and the past events are all part of that Slack community. So Aman, now I want to go to you for introductions and the new exciting updates on your career path.
Sure, Zhanat, thanks for the invite here. My name is Aman Bawa. I'm currently head of technical program management as well as AI ML delivery project management at Flyer Labs, which is an AI ML startup focused on revenue management, initially for the airlines and then going beyond. And I am hiring, so please do reach out if you're interested. I'm very excited to be here for many reasons. One, I love the TPM craft and always love to share ideas and learn from all of you. And so very much appreciate that. Also want to make sure I'm giving back as much as I can, especially in these tough times. And so happy to help with any questions here, also mentor offline. And so thank you for including me.
Welcome. Also welcome back. And Harman, now the stage is yours.
Perfect. Thank you, Zhanat. I'm Harman Batra. I work as a director of product reliability at Uber. Not very different than what I used to do as a TPM and TPM leader. So I'm here to give back to the community. I've been part of this virtual meetup set up for a while now. We started this journey in 2021. Prior to Uber, I have worked in Airbnb and Amazon as TPM leader. And that's how I'm always associated and active on the TPM channel, trying to support each one of us. So here, that's a bit about me.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so with that, we actually have more and more questions trickling into the Slido questions. So one more time, let me paste the link here. Okay, you should be able to access this link. Let me know if that doesn't work. I think it looks a little off, but should work. And let's go to the questions.
And the beauty of Slido, guys, is you can upvote questions which resonate more with you. And probably what we're going to do is we're going to like pick the top most upvoted questions, and we'll probably go. And we might pick some random ones too, but the more votes a question gets, that just bubbles to the top.
Right. I would say let's do this. For the next half an hour, we'll take the top questions. We see if we can exhaust the list as we go. And then in the last maybe 10 minutes, we can pick some random questions. Or if you folks on the panel can relate to some of the questions, please just jump in and say, hey, that question really resonates with me. I want to take that. Interestingly, I was testing the Slido earlier this week, and I put the first question, and I think since that was the first one, it got probably the most upvotes. But Mario, this was addressed to you. How can TPMs successfully advance their careers to higher levels? Example, your new role as a VP. And my observation that VP of tech programs as a role, I start seeing those maybe in the past couple of years only. Maybe I wasn't introduced to the right people before, or it's just emerging as industry is expanding. So what strategies and skills are necessary for achieving this level of success?
Yeah, I think there's a lot kind of to unpack there. In general, right, like if you want to grow, you're looking at probably two primary things to grow as a TPM. One is increasing your scope, and the second thing is increasing the impact, right? So if you spoke to me like 6 or 7 years ago, I used to manage the entire backend of a product. The product had, say, 3 million customers. Step forward another 3-4 years later at Oracle, I'm managing a line of, say, 5 products, right, for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. And then right now I'm managing probably 9 products. So ideally, you're trying to increase your scope, and then you're also trying to increase the impact that you can provide the organization. Another idea would be to pick up more ambiguous projects, which are harder and more complex. So those are all the things: scope, impact, and the complexity of the project, right? So those are all the things which you should focus on as you try to build and grow your career. Coming back to the primary question of how do you get to VP? I think VP, the title of VP kind of comes in mostly what I've seen are smaller organizations. right now I'm in a startup. We're like 1,000 people strong, so there could be an entire organization of TPMs that could support the business, right? So if you compare me being a senior principal at Oracle, to that kind of equates to a VP role in a very small company, right? Because at Oracle, at a principal level, you're still dealing with a team of, say, 4,000, 5,000 people in your entire organization, and your entire organization might only have like 3 or 4 principals who are actually like running extremely large projects. So I hope I answered that. If there's any follow-up questions, feel free to add it on the chat.
Thank you. Okay, so let's then go to
we can ask other people too if any of the other panelists have anything to add to that.
Yeah, please feel free to jump in anytime.
I would just add a small part on the complexity point. You can pick up complexity in a couple different ways. It can be technical complexity, level of ambiguity, as I think Mario had mentioned. Can also be, as you're looking at different structures of teams, the amount of Scrum teams or different teams and different dependencies involved that really show your TPM craft.
Awesome. All right, well, let's take the next question. So this is coming from Javier. Is the PMP certification going to get me a better chance to get to the first interview?
I can take that on. I think the way I'll put it for you is if you're looking for TPM roles and an interview into that, it more depends on what kind of a technical role that you have played, what kind of projects you have worked on, and what kind of areas that you have spent your past experience on. So the idea is to look at someone who has a lot of technical mindset in the technical PM roles. A lot of people do come from a non-technical background too. Minded, it's not like it's not something that is unseen. But generally, when you start exploring, you start from that mindset. The second mindset is, do you have those program management skills? And behind the kind of work you have done, you've collaborated, we've brought people together, you worked in those technical, may not be directly in the technical role, but coming from a different mindset where you have worked on initiatives that have helped you build some domain expertise in the area, that also works out for your first interview. But when you look at just PMP as a certification, I think that entails a lot within itself in terms of building ability to have better program management capabilities, better frameworks and tools that you can use to handle your work. So I would say directly, no, PMP is not a primary criteria that people look at, especially for TPM roles. But there are jobs I have seen posted out of there that says PMP certified, PMP credentials, a bonus, right? So it totally depends on the hiring manager and the company what they feel about that. But ideally, in an ideal scenario with big tech companies, PMP is not necessary at all.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
As a PMP myself, I think it definitely has a lot of value if you're just starting your career, right? If you're a developer, you've been around for like 2 years or 3 years, you've been coding, you want to move to the TPM route, you already have a reasonable handle on the technical aspects, but you don't know a lot about project or program management. You ideally want to get that experience where you're working, like leading a small project or something like that. In addition to that, maybe getting a PMP would definitely like boost your profile, and even when you interview, you can say like, oh, I would handle this using this methodology, which you probably have learned. You're not quoting PMP there, but you're trying to like show off some of the skills PMP might have taught you. Also to note that to do your PMP, you already should have been running programs for approximately 2.5 years. It's a prerequisite for the certification. So just to add that there.
I will add on that too, if I can, just another person who doesn't have a PMP, just to complete the cycle. So as you can see, I'm also a technology, like a TPM lead without having it. So that doesn't stop my career. Why I have my respect to the people who have a PMP. It's absolutely not an easy certification. You have to put a hard work and dedication to do that, but only having that won't be enough. Still, experience matters, but that's a good knowledge to learn, to understand what you're doing, what you're not doing, because we don't follow all the kind of PMP standards in the modern technology world, especially when it's getting to more startup culture. It's more closer relevance to the finance world when things are kind of bigger, slower, more conceptual. But when we're going to the startup tech, it's way more fun.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing all your perspectives. Let me go to the next question. And Aman, I think this one will fit your profile. So what does typical day looks like for TPM manager, apart from mentoring their direct reports? How do they partner with various product engineering leaders?
Okay, so for me on this one, there's a couple of different things I do on a daily basis. One is making sure I leave enough time to be able to do some deep thinking. So I literally have to block my calendar in certain areas so I can do this. Otherwise, different meetings kind of come on top of it, and you're not able to do that. In that deep thinking, I'm trying to think through what are the more strategic ways we can solve some of the bigger pain points in the organization so that we can approach them very methodically. And then also what I'm doing is leaving space to be able to set up the team to be able to do some brainstorming on either those concepts or best practices in general. And we do that in a center of excellence type of format where every team member is bringing that into the conversation. But I use some of my time on the side to make sure it's prepared and every meeting is as fruitful as possible. Then to specifically talk about the relationship with our peers in product engineering, you could also think about quality if there's a quality org, and especially design in most orgs. And there it's really a couple different things. Regular interactions to be talking through what are the areas they want focus on, what pains they're solving, and also relationship building. And so you're really building up that trust in between the organizations, which is a critical component to what we bring as program managers. Would love to leave it open if anybody else wants to answer as well.
Who wants to take the mic next?
I was going to ask Harman.
Yes, no, definitely. I think so. One of the critical things that I would say is important as a TPM manager is ability to work with your stakeholders, the ability to connect the dots of how leaders are thinking about the problems that need to be solved that your TPMs are involved in. Bringing that information and insight to your team and giving them a head start also is very, very useful. You are enabling your TPMs to be able to appeal through the various layers of an organization to get them the insights that will make them successful. I think that's one of the key aspects of that. I would say it's not just mentoring the direct reports, but it's finding that information for them while you're connecting with the stakeholders at a program level. And then I think so getting involved in the portfolio and understanding how the portfolio is doing and where you can add value, because a lot of times either you're fighting for more resources to support that portfolio because you will get the portfolio even if you don't have the people, right? And then you will be jumping in and doing it yourself as an IC also over there. So finding that balance between who can spare the bandwidth, how you handle the bandwidth, where you can push back and say the portfolio will not take more work. There's a lot that happens in that world.
Awesome.
Yeah, I will add a few more things. It's not about like, when you get to TPM leadership, it's not about day-to-day, but way bigger than day-to-day, because we're responsible for strategy and vision definition. That's gonna pay all the benefits while we're executing over a year. That's really important part to look ahead, plan, and do the strategic partnerships to align, kind of to foster the success and minimize the escalations that can possibly come.
Awesome, great. Well, Liana, since you have a mic, I want to address the next question to you. In your opinion, what are the differences between PM and TPM? Is it a set of discrete skills or understanding of technical concepts and processes, or both?
Okay, I'll understand this question two ways. I don't know if the person who asked us is here, PM as a program manager and technical program manager, or that's a question about the product and the TPM, because that's whole different answers. I'm happy to cover both, but if the person is here, yeah, I'd like to hear back.
Yes.
Okay, program manager. Okay, so there are kind of few aspects that's like I'll try to answer this question. First of all, how they are categorized within different organizations. Program management, not always, like pretty much out of the technical ladder, and technical program management within technical ladder in many organizations. There are some exceptions, but mostly it's like that. They are also pay differences associated with that. So if people are asking about how they calibrate, that's going to be pretty much one level difference. So one level up, PM can be compensated with one level down TPMs. That's pretty much how the compensations goes. Now let's talk about the interviewing and skills. So the only difference with interviewing, it's a technical aspect, the T letter that actually played the main role. So for TPMs, you have to pass system design or quite have a technical round. It may not go to coding nowadays, but I had one situation that I had to give a coding interview on my TPM loop. But for PMs, it's everything else but the deep technical round. They still check wall expertise, the like a domain knowledge, but it may not go to the deep technical challenges. Now, from the execution perspective, what kind of tasks you can get based on the skills you have. So program managers also can get into technical programs, but they may not be only technical. They may go beyond. They still can be very cross-functional, complex, but coordination can go like to legal, to vendor management, to other kind of marketing aspects. So it's not just Eng, or it can be completely off of the Eng, but the complexity and size and scale may be quite complex. When it's getting to technical program management, the intention is that's mainly technical, like these programs are, or projects are mainly technical domain. And it's expected from TPMs to be able to provide some of the technical expertise, drive the strategy, be able to see the risk and help to mitigate while they're partnering with their Eng counterparties. But for some cases, it's expected that they can have a technical depth to drive the direction change or help to mitigate risks as they see. So that's overall my view on this. I don't know if anyone has anything else to contribute to this.
Aman, in your current role, I noticed that you do have two sides. You have a TPM and you have AI/ML delivery project management. Does that align with the question here? Is it different?
It's slightly different, but let me talk about it a little, as it might be an interesting career choice for people. So on the technical program management side, that's your standard engineering technical program manager, very much fits into what Liana was talking about in terms of what we're looking for. The key is that technical depth, to be able to deeply understand what they're tracking, deeply understand the dependencies, the risks, how to mitigate the risks. And so that's on the engineering side. And then the other side of my org is actually the delivery of our system to customers. So you can think of that as the actual implementation, but it involves working with data engineers, data scientists, our ML team as well.
Nice.
Oh, one more point to add. I forget to tell. Sometimes program managers may need to get involved to finance this more, and TPM usually not very heavily in there. Actually, budgeting, resourcing depends on the programs and the projects that they're doing. Sometimes that skills benefiting a lot of program managers, but in an end world, we pretty much have a kind of strict resources. Like we can go to the vendor management and deal with that kind of stuff. Depends on the level that you are in technical program management, but for most of the cases, you may not get into the budgeting, actual financial part of it.
Brandon, I hope that answered your question. If you have any commentary, please drop them in the chat. In the meantime, let's move to the next question. So the next question, coming from anonymous participant, Mario, I wonder if you can take a crack at this.
Yeah, I'll try.
Yeah.
So
let me read this aloud just in case
Yeah.
on the recording it won't be visible. So the question is, what are some common metrics for the TPMs that you can share with us? I do understand this is very subjective to the programs involved. Looking for examples.
Yeah, I think there are two types of metrics I've focused on. One is very much into the operational metrics, right? When you're running large scale production systems, like, you know, how are your APIs doing? What is your downtime? You know, how many critical, how often was your application down, and those kind of things. They're all operational metrics, which TPMs, if you're running a large organization, you definitely are focusing on some of that. On the product side, you focus along with the product manager, whatever feature set you're developing or whatever product you're developing, you have certain sets of OKRs or KPIs that you're constantly measuring. But I don't know, like, if the TPM is 100% responsible for those metrics and they're keeping an eye on it, but they're not like dealing with it on a daily basis, maybe. And I don't know if anybody else has a better answer to that.
I can add a few of my points, how usually I measure. I feel for TPMs, your program impact, like you're sharing that. So that's depends on, it can be infrastructure, it could be product type of like a delivery, but overall, what is your program goal? You're sharing an impact, however you can metricize and visualize. Second is an operational, as you taught. Third, it's operational excellence. So I'd like TPMs to have a way to measure continuous improvement. It can be through surveys, or it can be through the trends analysis on how you deliver. Reliability can be one of the factors of that, but that's helping actually to evaluate their work, how better they plan, how planned versus actual can match, and how you can improve over time, how you can help engineering to learn about their themselves better, and how they will start feeling more efficient as they have TPM involvement in their day-to-day or whatever delivery. So usually I bucket them, there's 3 ways, and the 3 of them are equally important for me.
Just to add, oh, sorry, Martin, was somebody else going?
No, go ahead, Aman.
Okay, I was just going to add just a little bit more on there. So key things I look at for is a say-do ratio type of analysis. So are the Scrum teams actually delivering what they say? And how many times are things like change management and things coming into play that really shouldn't have or could have been avoided? Then there's the quality side, both the standard quality metrics as well as incident reports. So you're looking at how many times are we causing customer situations that are obviously customer visible. And so those are the key areas. And then for the program management role itself, there's also the notion of how quickly can you identify an issue, alert on it, and resolve it before it becomes a schedule change or a miss on a schedule.
These are good metrics, and I feel like someone really needs to write a blog post on this. I think this will really help the community here, because I think about those questions being a TPM leader as well. Like, how do I evaluate the efficiency of the team? Not specifically the person on the team, right? I can say, okay, this person delivered the program X, Y, and Z, and I can measure that and like how that performance goes. But as a team, are we impacting engineering enough? And how do I measure that? These are really good questions to share with community, like how we think about those. Awesome. Let's move to the next question. Harman, I think you were taking a little break from answers, so why don't we point this question for you? So let me read it aloud for the recording's sake. If you didn't come from an engineering background, what's the best way to build up that T in the TPM?
Perfect. There's also another question on Zoom Q&A, which is on similar lines, like how can one develop the techie language spoken by tech dev leads and architects if one doesn't come from technical or programming background? Are there other areas to learn apart from system design? So I'll try to address both in this answer, right? I think the way I'll put it is what we learn while we come from engineering background or technical background is something that we learn, right? So even if you don't come from that background, there's always a learning curve. We're always learning and always growing. So rather than worrying about I do not come from that background, I just spend the time in reading stuff, reading material, understanding system design, architecture. There are so many videos, like in today's world, YouTube has so much of information in terms of system design and videos and examples, interview practice and things like that, that if you go ahead and look at some of these resources, you don't need to be really worried about like, is it the right resource or wrong resource? You will form that language over time, like how people design backend systems, how people design front-end systems, what are the things that they look at. So that will start to build that language that you may start getting comfortable with. Mario talked about metrics as how your API is performing, right? API is something that everyone needs to know in today's world as a TPM, because everything revolves around it. Things interact, because your role is building products or managing systems that interact through these APIs. So a lot of these things, most of us who do not come from technical background would not have heard or learned about. But when you start talking to people, reading books, you will start to learn them. When it comes to tech leads or architects, right? Ask them questions. Like, I think so a lot of people, as you build trust with them, if you ask them even dumb questions, first of all, no question is dumb, I would say, right? But even if you feel from your perspective that it's going to be a silly question, no, go ahead, ask it. They will talk about it, they'll explain it, you'll learn along the way. And that's how I think so, having come from hardware background into software, this is exactly what I have done, is asking the right questions, building relationship with some of the key architects or system design people on the team, and just talking to them and learning from them along the way. And then as you keep asking questions, you keep using the language and jargons that everyone uses, even if they might be wrong. But the idea is to sit on an initiative and dig deeper with whatever comes to your mind. Yeah.
Awesome. Any other commentary from panelists? All right, well, let's move on to the next question. So the next question is, how do I increase my chances of getting an interview call? Any takers? Mario, I know you did an AMA about the resume review recently. Does that resonate?
Yeah, I can take this. One is, depending on where you are in a spectrum of lower amount of years of experience to the highest amount of years experience, right? So say you have, say, 3-4 years of experience, to say somebody you have 15 years of experience. If you have a lower number of years of experience, right now in the current job market, you definitely need to be applying to the most number of jobs. And the reason for that is there are a lot of people who are looking for jobs, right? More than it's ever been, right? There are more number of TPMs today looking for an opportunity than ever in the history of TPMs, right? So you do definitely have to increase your geography in which you're looking for. If you're in Seattle, you're probably looking at all over the West Coast, or you're looking at all the big hubs. So you need to apply to more jobs. That's number one. Number two would be to get a referral. Trying to get a referral for a lot of the jobs you apply to. Number three would be to have a kick-ass resume, right? And so those are the main things. Apply to more jobs, increase your funnel, try to get more referrals, increase your geography as well, and then have a really, really good resume. And of course, join the LinkedIn group. I post jobs there every single day. And the goal of the group is that reach out to the person who's actually posting the job, the hiring manager, and then try to form a connection and sell yourself, and one way of getting to know new jobs.
And then if I could, I would just add a couple of things onto Mario's very excellent advice. There is a couple of just general points. One would be your LinkedIn. You can kind of think of that as your front end marketing. And so it should be as kick-ass, so to speak, as your resume. And then your LinkedIn presence as well, what you're posting, what you're commenting on, how you're commenting, what you're liking, all can help play a role. And then to add on to the notion of referrals, absolutely agree. I think that's the top thing. And then if you think of referrals in two ways, either as close to the actual job as possible or as senior as possible in the org would be like two dimensions to think about when you're looking for who can refer you into that position.
And to add to the referrals point, which Aman just mentioned, right? If your referral works within the same organization, better. If you're the person who's referring, you could actually send an email to the hiring manager saying that they have worked with you in the past, right? Or have some context of what you've done, or you write them a blurb sometimes and send it to them. Hey, this is what I've done, just 2 lines, right? Which they can highlight to the hiring manager. Definitely a thumbs up there.
And one thing I'll just like to add also is try to ensure your resume is changed every time you apply for a role in a company, and try to look at the job description and ensure some of those words are coming in your resume, so that that helps connect the dots for the people who are filtering and the softwares that are filtering in between. Because a lot of times you read the job description, you feel, yeah, this is what I've been doing, this is how I do, but your resume mentions in some other form. And because you are like, I will just reuse my fancy resume that I have, but it's good to be there, but the wordings ought to be updated a lot of time. That helps with connecting the dots. And also try to, if you find through a referral who the hiring manager are, if they're open in sharing, don't like, one thing I would say, like, while you want a job, don't reach out by just saying, I want a job, this job is suitable for me. Try to connect with them in trying to understand something about the job or about what they do or about what happens, so that in their world, so that they have a reason to connect, and then you can end it up with a job conversation. That is another good way of connecting dots where people are more available to have a conversation.
Perfect. Okay, so let's try to get to more questions. Liana, I want to address this one to you. What is the biggest challenge we're facing as a TPM community? Is it unclear, poor perception, seat at the table, subpar talent, or lack of attractive lead-up opportunities?
First of all, I may disagree. That's like on a second part of a question. And sorry for being bold. I feel we define who we are. We lead as an example, and we should not complain that things are poor. This is my mindset and attitude, how I go. And I always get a seat at the table and a respect associated with that. So never underestimate. You're all cool professionals, well educated, and you're definitely adding a value. As the moment you doubt that, the moment you're going to be on a second part of this question. But still, there is one problem I want to talk about. That's different expectation and understanding of TPM's responsibilities, skill sets for different companies. There are some companies that have more structurized TPM organizations and understanding job expectation, career ladders. It's clear not only for the TPMs, but also the rest of the organization. And there are also startups or some other companies. Oh, what is this TPM cool thing? Let's us also hire a TPM since they're doing a cool job. We have a bunch of staff, those PMs, product owners and EMs are not doing, let's hire a TPM. So when they're hiring TPM like that, they're not sure on a reporting structure who is going to be leading TPM organization. And depends on the experience of the TPMs, they may go a little bit to the wrong direction. I guess what can reunite us and make stronger to share experiences, practices, what we're doing at this stage, to make sure that we are raising the bar always. And for the organizations that are newer, they're learning, and it's okay. It cannot be perfect when you're 20% or 50 people startup. It will take some evolution to change to get to the standard or classic model. And we all have been through that processes through our careers, I'm sure. But that's the thing that we have to continuously invest, educate, and lead as an example.
Awesome. Thank you, Liana. Any other comments, folks?
Yeah, just to add briefly onto Liana's point, and it's actually a point I meant to mention on the TPM manager role, but that notion of always articulating what the business value is and managing upward and across is a critical component to ensuring that the team is positioned correctly.
Great. Thank you, Aman. Let's get to the next question. In this one, Mario, I wonder if you want to take the next one. Let me highlight that. Any, my bad. I think I got it marked incorrectly. Okay, so one more time. Any certifications that would benefit advancing career as a TPM?
Yeah, I have like 7 or 8 certifications. But I don't tell people to do all of them. I think when you're starting out your career, if you don't have, as I said, if you don't have the program management side of the world, if you don't understand that, the PMP is really good. But in general, if you're you have experience as like 4 or 5 years as a TPM, right now, I would really encourage people to do any one of the cloud certifications. Azure, AWS, Google Public Cloud. I think these are, if you're looking to do a certification, I think that's something to add to your tool set, just because there's the number of people that are being hired into those cloud organizations is really high right now. If you see who Amazon is hiring the most in the TPM side, is generally on the AWS side, and so is OCI, the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure team, is also hiring a lot of people. So I think having some kind of cloud knowledge would definitely help.
Just I apologize, my dog was barking at the same time, but just to add briefly onto Mario's point, if you're in an existing company that is SaaS, you should research with your cloud ops team. You may actually be able to get a lot of the certification training for free. Just a point to add on to that.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Okay, well, let's get to the next question. And I think we touched on this a little bit previously on the metrics. So other than agile metrics like velocity or predictability, what are some other metrics you have used to measure the success of TPM? Given we covered part of it, any other perspectives on this? Okay, well, velocity and predictability. I really, really like the predictability aspect of this. And I think, speaking of PMP and all that certification, they actually do provide some metrics for PMOs. And one of them is, of the projects that you committed, how many of them you actually delivered on time. And I think as TPMs, we should strive to reduce that number, right? We should be able to stay ahead of the curve and know, okay, this, say, timeline does not feel reasonable, or we're not thinking about the certain risks for the program, so that we can set the right timelines, the right expectations with stakeholders and with the leadership. And sometimes, leadership will come and say, let's do this in 3 months. And we should be encouraged and empowered to come back and say, well, I looked at the scope, 3 months is really unreasonable. Here's why, and here's my assessment on how long it should reasonably take. So you set that timeline yourself and then try to hit it. Obviously, as a wisdom in all the project program management world, you will not hit 100% for all your programs, but reducing that rate and increasing predictability, I think, is really, really key. And Lyndon, I think we did not fully answer your question. So if you feel so, share your thoughts in the chat so we can elaborate more on that. Thank you.
I wanted to add one more thing, that I guess this is a classic example for sprint delivery, but not all the programs are being driven to the sprints because there are massive migrations. I don't know, decommissioning some servers, like a lot of infrastructure projects and programs that may be executed a little bit different. They still may be part of the different sprints for the teams, but it's different model, and those kind of programs you are evaluating success a little bit differently. It's pretty much actually how you planned milestones and how your actual delivery shifted. Sometimes it can be fixed timeline and you may not have other options, and like you need to take another road, but that's getting to the complexity and the nature of the programs that you're executing. That's agile metrics may not perfectly work.
Awesome. Okay, let's get to this question, and probably given that we are almost at the top of the hour, and we still have like, I think 30 questions to go, I would like to take the question from Aniket and go around the room. So given the panelist experience over the years, what one piece of advice you would give to deliver the most value to an organization as a TPM? And let me just go as folks are lined up on my screen. Aman, you were first.
Sure. So from my standpoint, it's really focusing on the why. And so if you really target that, then you have the business outcomes or the, the optimizations you want out of any process improvement or program, and you can articulate it to your teams. That helps you show the value of the TPM org in the best possible way.
Liana, you are the next.
So I may say some different approach that's maybe opposite what TPMs do, but I'll say less is more for many cases. Many TPMs, especially new TPMs, think that, oh, I'll go and make a process changes because this is part of my role. I'll introduce new processes. That's going to be fun, easy, efficient, etc. So anytime you're introducing any process change, think what is going to be the lightweight process that will maximize an impact. Your process change may be actually removing some of actual processes that can maximize an impact. Think that way, and think twice before introducing a change, considering the mindset, current state of execution, adoption, the audience and people you're working, and the readiness of the change. And yeah, lightweight processes, happier engineering teams and partners gonna bring a way bigger impact than you think.
Awesome. Harman, you are the next on my screen.
Perfect. What I would say is the critical part of your role is to resolve the ambiguity. Like you are thrown into a problem as a TPM to go ahead and get it delivered. And the journey from where you start and where you end, all throughout the time, you are trying to peel the onion, basically dig deeper, drive the ambiguity, bring that clarity from the situation that you're put into, and get it for everyone. You own that problem, you have to get to an output, you have to deliver something, and no one else is going to own it. You will see a lot of times you'll feel, hey, why did that person did not own this problem, right? No, they should own it, they will own it when they need to, but as a program, you are the, as a TPM, you are finding those scenarios, and if there is no owner, you are the owner. So keep peeling the onion, keep solving the ambiguity, and keep owning it up to a closure.
Perfect. Mario?
So many different answers and different perspectives, right? It's amazing. It just gives me so much delight. My thought on this is, how I look at it is, I normally see what's the biggest problem my VP or my CTO is trying to solve, right? What keeps them up at night? What's the biggest problem they need to solve? And can I get a piece of that problem? Or can I take the problem entirely and solve it for them? This gives you more visibility and gives you a lot more action that's going to come your way. You're on mute.
Of course. Thank you, Mario. And we are right at the top of our 6:00. As a great TPMs, we are on time. We delivered as promised. I know there are a lot of good questions left unanswered. Some of them around from Zoom, actually. Aman, thanks for pointing that out. There's a question on ideas or initiatives being considered for further enhancing and advance the TPM group. I think that is a very deep question. And we might want to save these questions for async Slack conversations. So feel free to drop into the Slack group, ask your questions there. I will try to port some of the questions there as well and see if we can take some time async to answer those. But with that, I think it's a really pleasure to see this community coming together. I know the times are hard, and I know that through these times, keeping community strong will make us all more successful. So keep up a great job, everyone, on leveling up the TPM brand, and we'll see you in the future events. And thank you for all the panelists.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And special thanks to Zhanat for running the show.
Yes. I appreciate Zhanat as usual.
Thank you, folks. Okay, bye now.
Bye.